It's good to be back, and if we are back and back for good, we're gonna start in a mini way because we are gonna talk about iPhone 12 mini, a phone that has been marketed as possibly the best small phone there is, and it's hard to disagree with that. I mean, this phone has it all. Basically, it's an iPhone 12 mini, hello. It has extremely powerful A14 Bionic chip. It has beautiful OLED display, new design. It was marketed as the smallest 5G phone out there when it was introduced, and somehow it doesn't sell well. And the question is why? Nick Ackerman recently made a great video about iPhone 12 mini saying why it flopped in a way when it comes to sales, and I agree with those reasons 100%. But I also have another reason that people didn't realize. I mean, all of the tech community probably didn't realize when iPhone 12 mini was introduced. And that reason is the fact. Actually, to explain it, we're gonna go back a little bit in time. Actually to the year of 2007. When Steve Jobs first introduced the very first iPhone 2G, which had 3.5-inch screen, and I mean for that time, it was huge.
And this is what it looks like. It's got a 3.5-inch screen on it. It's really big. And it's the highest resolution screen we've ever shipped. It's 160 pixels per inch.
I mean, how could you actually use this? Phones were pretty much used for calling, maybe some emailing if it even had this capability, but other than that, you couldn't really do anything with that. And then came the first iPhone, a phone with multi-touch screen, a phone that could browse the internet, that had camera, probably decent battery life for the time being, and possibly the best display for the time being, and the biggest display, the most accurate display. And as the times were going on and going by, people started realizing that the potential of the phones is much greater than just calling. So the companies were advertising bigger screens, better screens, faster CPUs, more storage, better batteries, and to do that, phones had to grow. And since their capabilities were growing, the size was growing as well. And even in 2014, Apple realized, they had actually realized that earlier, but in 2014 we got the results of that, which was iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, and then even Apple started making bigger phones. Like now we have iPhone 12 with 6.1-inch screen, we have iPhones Max, which are really huge, and people generally tend to buy bigger phones. And the reason for that is that the power of the phones, the capabilities that these phones have nowadays are just huge compared to what it was back then when smaller phones were thing. I mean, even if we go back to the iPhone 5S, yeah, sure, people were using that a lot, but the CPUs, the cameras and anything like that wasn't nearly as powerful as it is now, and wasn't nearly as capable. Software wasn't at this point, and now the software is ready for almost anything. I mean, we can message, watch videos on these big OLED displays. We need bigger batteries to consume more and more content. There are better and bigger games that can take advantage of the hardware. The speakers have to be better. I mean, if you're already watching some movies, you just gotta get the solid sound quality. And to produce the better speakers, to put better speakers into that phone, the whole construction needs to be bigger. And people actually don't mind it. They rather prefer to have bigger batteries and great comfort of usage compared to the portability. And I mean, it makes sense. They are ready to trade some small size and compact form for big screen because they actually use that a lot. And because of the increasing capabilities of our phones, we use them more. And if you use your phone a lot, you want to have the bigger screen so you can message people better, when it comes to typing. The videos you watch are bigger and maybe present more details, the speakers are more immersive, the battery can last longer, the processors get better and better, so you can game more. And of course, as a gamer, sometimes you play with 4 fingers like you're using a claw or something. Of course you need a bigger screen for that. And even though some people would love that compact size, they just physically cannot trade that for those increasing capabilities of their phone and the fact that they use it more and more and more. And is iPhone 12 mini a bad phone? Absolutely not. As I said, it has everything that any modern smartphone would have, and actually in many ways it's better than any other smartphone. I mean, it still has one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful CPUs out there, A14. It has great capabilities, all the new features. It's just smaller, and because of that the whole content and the usage of the smartphone is just not as it is even on an iPhone 12. And that is why people tend to forget about this phone and not really consider it, maybe also because of the price. And that is mainly the reason why people prefer even an iPhone 12 compared to the 12 mini. They just prefer to pay a little bit more and have that bigger screen, know that their battery is gonna last longer, that they are gonna have like better experience when it comes to movie watching and things like that, since we are more and more dependable on our phones. And iPhone 12 mini does all of those things just as good as any other smartphone. It's just because it's smaller, the screen and the overall experience is not what it may be on the bigger phones. Does that make iPhone 12 mini bad? Absolutely not. That's the purpose of this phone, to be smaller, to give you all those capabilities in a smaller form factor, and it's doing the best job it can, and it's a terrific phone. The problem is that right now people are heavy users, and if you're a heavy user, you just appreciate the bigger battery, screen, speakers and everything, all of that. You just appreciate that too much, and simply, even for a comfort of putting your phone comfortably into your pocket, this is just too little and too much to trade for that increasing capabilities of the current smartphones. And that is why honestly I think that iPhone 12 mini kind of flopped, if we can call it that way. I mean, it's still selling great compared to certain phones, but I mean, for Apple these sales are not the best, and that's probably the reason behind it, since people want more and more capabilities, and Mini offers those capabilities. It's just on a smaller screen. You are not gonna use them to the full extent like you would have on the bigger models, and that is the reason I think people are willing to trade the size and, you know, maybe suffer a little bit with bigger phones when it comes to portability, and they just prefer to use them 100%, which some people just don't like in the mini. And that is probably the reason why people choose bigger phones over the great iPhone 12 mini, because they just use their phones extensively. And if you're gonna do that, you don't care that much about portability, you care more about the user experience and the bigger size, so you can consume the content and actually create some. And yeah, when it comes to creating the content, as you see, I'm finally back on YouTube, back for good, and now in July we are really gonna start putting the work here. We are gonna make few things better, few surprises are coming, so I can't wait to really show them to the channel. And I hope you are gonna stay with me, subscribe, maybe like the video if you enjoy the content, and see you next time.